Okay. Hi, everybody. Before I introduce everybody, I just wanted to give a little bit of an intro into what you're about to see. So I'm Brad Palmer, National Programmatic Director at JC2Co. How do we click to the next one? The big green button. That's the one. First of all, obviously want to thank everybody for being here today. Anyone who knows me, very passionate about programmatic out of home. It's amazing to see a couple hundred people in a room to talk more about the future, so thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk about the Tourism Tasmania case study in a second. I think Ben's given us some amazing sort of segues and some of my points that I was going to bring up before we jumped into it. But I'll start with a bit of a background as to this case study. So as we know, as Ben's pointed out, we're a 5% medium, and there's a lot of media owners here, there's a lot of OMA members in the OMA, and I think we want to grow that pie beyond the sort of 5%. And at JC2Co, we definitely want to do that ourselves. We obviously are a traditional offline company. So JC2Co, street furniture, advertising funded in the 1960s in Lyon in France. But as we move through into the digitisation, the technology, it's providing us with new ways to get involved in programmatic trading, and it's giving us an opportunity to challenge those digital dollars, which is something that Ben pointed out is a huge opportunity for us. So that's how we got to the point where at JC2Co we signed on and integrated our own DMP. So we signed on with Adobe Audience Manager, a very common DMP in the Australian market. And the way we did that is by ingesting mobile device IDs to build our own first-party audience. And the reality is that we did it on a bit of a hunch. We knew that the cookies were deprecating. We saw the cookie monster before. Everyone talks about the cookies deprecating. We knew we wanted to get closer to clients' first-party data, and also, start to share JC2Co seed audiences to activate in that digital ecosystem. But we need really strong digital minds to do this because we are an offline company. We're moving into that digital space, and that probably provides a really interesting way to introduce the panel today. So here we're going to talk about a case study for Tourism Tasmania and how they leveraged out-of-home to drive that omni-channel success. So we have here Tom Scherson, Paid Media Manager from Tourism Tasmania. We've also got Manon Jardin from Starcom, Account Director, and we've also got Karen Homan from Yahoo, who's our Head of Platform Strategy there. So I'm just going to take a seat. Cool. All right, so first question is for Tom. Tom gets the silver medal for furthest distance travelled today, I think. He's come from Hobart for the day to be with us to talk about this case study. So thank you, Tom. I think that actually deserves a bit of a round of applause for Tom. So the first question I have for Tom is, can you please tell us a little bit more about the brief for off-season 2022? And I think we're really interested to hear a little bit more about probably Tourism Tasmania's previous experience with having out-of-home as part of that sort of traditional media mix.
Sure thing. And thank you for having me today. I was once told if you feel like the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, and I have never been so sure I'm in the right room as today. So, no, it's been really good and really good to kind of understand and lift the lid on something that from client side we don't really get a lot of insight in. In terms of the off-season and tourism more broadly, and who would have thought a couple of years ago we'd be sitting here talking about the success of tourism in Australia or anywhere really. And I guess we were in a really good position last year where borders were opening up for the most part. We were kind of returning to what was going to be our new normal. And I guess while that consumer confidence was coming back, the travel trends were changing, and what people wanted out of travel was really changing. It was no longer the Instagram highlights reel. It was really having something meaningful and enriching and powerful about their travel experience. And so that was kind of the landscape that we were playing in. And then in terms of the Australian travel trends specifically for winter, Australians are sun chasers and tend to holiday during the summer months and Easter, and so winter holidays are usually associated with ski trips or heading to New Zealand and something like that. So we had a few barriers, I guess, just with winter generally that we wanted to really overcome. But I guess in terms of what we offer within Tasmania, we don't have the panoramic golden beaches or things like. Well, we do have them. Don't let me tell you, don't have them. But that's not the selling point for us. And particularly during winter, we're not the escape to warmth, but we're also not the ski holiday to New Zealand. And so we kind of have this really interesting tension point in the market where what we need to offer is something different. And fortunately for us in Tasmania, what we do offer is something different, which is kind of synonymous with those enriching experiences. What we offer is really something that you can really immerse yourself in. It's smaller. We do a lot of work in terms of connecting with the local industry, and so that was kind of what we wanted to harness for this, and that's where the off-season kind of came about. It was this opportunity to kind of dial up that sense of difference, leverage the existing brand platform for Come Down for Air, which we have, which is really about challenging the notion of what a holiday should be. And the off-season was a really big opportunity for us to really dial that up and really say, change the perception of winter generally in Australia, not just necessarily drive people to come to Tasmania and spend their winter holidays. So that was kind of what we put forward. We were trying to do a lot of things given the time and place in market. We had been keeping people kind of relatively warm in the passive consideration phase across COVID while we'd had border issues. And so we really wanted to kind of activate them, re-engage them and get them involved. But we were also working with the industry to provide offers and experiences and really come to the fore with us. And for the first time, and pretty much the only time for us, we actually were able to offer a lower funnel conversion opportunity where we housed bookings on the site rather than going through the operators directly, which is usually, I guess, a bit of a blind spot for us in tourism marketing as a destination organisation. So as you can imagine, the brief that we sent through to Starcom was pretty much broad as. It was 4 months to get people from up here to down here and do it all straight away. And so while we had to be realistic about what we were asking, the channel mix kind of had, and the strategy really had to match that. And that's where we were really looking for opportunities where we could speak to people, really drive home that difference, that salience, reactivate people, but then also encourage that activation to say, well, let's get you down and get that happening. And that's kind of, I've probably gone way too far on one point to not the other. In terms of out of home, and I guess coming back to what I was talking to in terms of the Come Down for Air piece, what we're giving is more than an offer or a price point or anything like that. What we're really trying to convey is a feeling, an emotion, an immersion. And so choosing channels, choosing media that really allows you to convey that and really, I guess, people bring consumers along with you rather than kind of talk at them is a key piece of that. And for us, I guess out of home has been a real key driver for that and what we've been able to do. And I think we've always kind of that chart that Grant was showing earlier around the axis between high reach and high index and high impact, trying to find the balance with that has always been a real challenge for us. We don't have the same budgets as some of our competitors. So we've really kind of worked with that, and a couple of years ago we did kind of invest in programmatic out of home, and that was our opportunity to start playing in that space of scaling down that mass awareness and really playing in spaces where we know our target segments and our audiences were. So that's kind of led to where we are now, and I'll let Manon maybe speak a little bit more to the approach to off-season.
Yeah, for sure. Great perspective. And I think, those early days with Tourism Tasmania, one of the early adopters of programmatic out of home was one of the motivations was to pause, stop and cancel because we were right in the height of those lockdowns, and at any point in time, they could kind of happen again. So, Manon, what we wanted to sort of explore a little bit with you is your agency's feelings and experiences with having digital out of home as part of that sort of omni-channel mix. Obviously, you've sort of bought the campaign through the Yahoo DSP. What role does it play alongside the native and the display, and for this campaign sort of in particular?
Yeah, sure. So as Tom very well articulated, Tasmania is an ordinary destination. It's also, Tourism Tasmania is also not an ordinary brand, and we really approach all media with the same vision. So for us, it's mainly around delivering our campaign in touch points that can have high impact, but also innovation to really drive our share of voice and be more competitive in markets, which is sometimes more easy than others, especially during different seasons. But yeah, winter is historically very competitive. So we had a tough job to do, but I think we were pretty successful. And so obviously out of home is a key channel for us in delivering that impact and innovation, especially with the recent developments in the digital and programmatic out of home space. We really elevated our audience first approach, making sure that we speak to the right people with the budget that we had. And yeah, out of home is no longer a siloed channel, which is essential. It was a thing that was missing before, and now we really plan and buy out of home alongside other digital channels. This was obviously made possible with our partnership with Yahoo and their DSP, which has been a real game changer for us. Now we've created synergies between all digital channels, really, or most of them at least. And the DSP was the tool that allowed us to bring that to life.
Cool. Tom, is there anything you wanted to add on sort of the execution pieces that Starcom came up with?
I mean, more or less, I guess, and coming back to the point to what you said earlier, I think one of the real key drivers for us was, while we were sure that things were opening back up again and we were kind of felt comfortable that we were able to scale up a little bit and reach a bigger audience, we did kind of want to prepare with trepidation around what we were doing, and so the ability to stop and start that media in market was really kind of key for us while we were planning. But I think we were also kind of having a look at, to what Manon was saying, winter is a really tough time to buy, and particularly in screens and TV, it's really hard to kind of make an impact, particularly with limited budget. So I think, I don't know if this is information I should be sharing, but Queensland has about 4 times the budget that we do to spend in the same markets in Australia. And so for us, we kind of have to be a little bit strategic and a little bit nuanced in our approach to who we're targeting and why. And so programmatic, I guess, allowed us the opportunity to minimise wastage as much as you can within out of home, and really allow us to kind of focus on channels that were going to still seed what we wanted in terms of message, but then also seed those audiences and leverage some retargeting and re-engagement opportunities, which really allowed us to kind of use it as that top piece and start to push people down the funnel. So I guess it kind of became the hero channel that we built the rest of the strategy around.
Awesome. So, Karen, I'm going to allow you to walk everyone through this little mind map that we've got up here. But just before we go into it, I think, referencing back to the Adobe Audience Manager play and give you a little bit of background on how we execute that. So we've got 8 million device IDs. They're mapped against all our classic and all our digital assets across our portfolio. And we really had to lean on Yahoo in order to start to activate the data, because Yahoo obviously have great identity graphs and obviously play in this space a lot more than what we have at JC2Co. So we were able to share the data through to Yahoo, put it into their identity graph for them to understand more about who those device IDs are, what they read, what they listen to. And that's essentially how, I don't want to steal your thunder, Karen, but that's essentially how the Adobe piece comes into this. So this was the first campaign that we ran for the Adobe piece. So Karen, can you walk us through these elements?
Yes, sure. So exactly what you've said, but adding on to that, so I would say there were really 4 key elements here. The first one was really the channel strategy. So TTAS activated a truly omni-channel campaign. We really achieved that upper funnel awareness and that mid-funnel consideration, and building on that seed audience with programmatic out of home. We then, again, drove that message consideration and message saliency across those lower funnel channels of your audio, display, and native. The second key element here would be the data audience. So, we use data to find panels that really index highly for the 2 TTAS target audiences. And then, as Brad was just mentioning before, we were able to ingest that Adobe Audience IDs into our platform. We can then activate our Audience Insights tool, and we were able to really garner deeper insights into who these 2 audiences are. We were able to scale them out and directly activate them across those digital channels. The third element would be the re-engagement strategy. So not only were we able to enable an offline audience online, but we were able to work with our location intelligence partner, NEAR, and activate our Yahoo re-engagement strategy. So really follow that TTAS consumer and manage that TTAS consumer along their journey post-programmatic out-of-home exposure. And the last piece, and really probably one of the most important pieces, is measurement. So we can get case studies, so we have insights, so we can make sure there's learnings, each campaign can run smarter. And we were able to tie it all together for TTAS and include uplift measurement studies.
Nice one. Manon, you get the fun part. You get to talk about the results.
Yay, numbers.
So I'm going to flick it onto here and I'll let Manon kind of explain some of the first results that you see there.
Yeah, so we've had great results for this campaign. We wouldn't be here otherwise. But I'm going to start with the media results and then go down to marketing and business results a bit later. But overall, from a media point of view, we've reached 98% of our target audience. And when looking at the programmatic buy, we've delivered 70 million impressions across all the channels. We've also seen greater engagement on online channels after audience been exposed to programmatic out of home. So that really shows how powerful this whole omni-channel strategy was. When looking at our marketing results, we've seen a positive impact on our brand metrics with our audience flagging that they found the campaign meaningful and very different, which is ultimately what we want. Tom said Tasmania is so unique and we want our audience to understand that message. And in terms of business results, which is ultimately what everyone's looking at, to see how what the effect was on the ground for the operators, because obviously we want to get travelers down there so they can spend and enjoy Tasmania. We are seeing strong signs of recovery post-COVID, which is amazing, really, because that's the crux of our activity in media. We've seen an increase of $1,000 spent on average by traveler compared to pre-COVID levels, which is, again, quite incredible. And we're also seeing travelers staying longer on the ground with an extra 3 nights compared to what we measured in June 2019. So overall, very good results based on this campaign.
And Karen, did you want to take us through some of the lifts that were measured by your partnership with NEAR?
Yes. So a little bit more detail around how these. Yes. Yep. Yeah. So as mentioned, we partner with our location intelligence partner NEAR to really garner website and footfall uplift studies, and that's across omni-channel campaigns, including programmatic out of home, we saw some really, really strong results with this particular campaign here. So it was, the 51% increase into visitation into actually big footfall into Tasmania. And then, 31% of that uplift was driven by digital out of home there. We're continuing to evolve what we're going to be doing with our partnership here for TTAS for the next burst of these campaigns. So we're going to continue to provide those uplift measurements, but not only look at channel, but look at venue type and vendor. So break down those insights, looking at, say, what were the impacts of a billboard in terms of uplift versus a roadside street furniture bus shelter, for example, to make sure, again, that we are getting as many learnings and insights as possible to activate and to, actionable insights to put into each burst and each campaign.
Thank you. And I think, that's a good point there, because this campaign continues to evolve. So that was off-season 2022. We've pretty much just come down for air summer 2022. And in that, there was a new activation where we actually ingested Experian audiences and we use Experian audiences to share them through to Yahoo and activate within the omni-channel piece as well. And as part of that, we also included hybrid activity from a traditional perspective as well. And that's continuing now with off-season about to kick off as well. So I'll probably let you wrap it up, Tom, and just talk a little bit more about that combination of sort of data, programmatic, and sort of traditional campaigns, and how you're sort of looking to approach this as it moves forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, getting the results that we did get and through those brand lift studies and the NEAR work as well, I think it's allowed us to kind of quantify some of the out-of-home pieces that we haven't really been able to before beyond those impressions, and really kind of understand what impact it is having. We are very fortunate to have a glutton of data, I guess for a couple of reasons. One, we're an island state. You can only get to us by two ways. It's boat or plane. So we know who's coming in, we know who's coming out, or to a degree. Obviously we've got our Tasmanian Visitor Survey, and we're able to kind of collect data in that way. We also work with a research agency who gives us, I guess, a few different metrics that we can use, and one of those is a total brand communication assessment. And what we're able to do there is actually understand the touch points and whether people have that awareness of our brand or as a destination through a particular channel. And through the off-season last year, we did actually see a 4% increase in outdoor total brand communication awareness within our target segments. So that was another extra win. And I guess that is kind of some of the ways that we connect the dots between the work that we do that isn't necessarily digitally quantifiable, and then obviously these results that we get here, and then the broader business results as well. Come down for air, having just wrapped up. We're yet to do a PCR. Looking forward to that. I guess we did start to bring in back some of those traditional pieces, and again, kind of coming back to really wanting to make the creative shine, and we're really fortunate to work with some really great creative that delivers our brand message in a way that, as I said, kind of invites people in and really drives home those pieces of meaning and difference and salience that drive our brand power beyond just the metrics that we can't see in bookings and visitation until later on. So we really wanted to bring that back, but I guess the role of traditional sites and those pieces for us now are really utilising them for their function of making it work, not just picking them on the highest footfall, but really understanding what value do they add to our programmatic buy. We've got the hygiene features in the programmatic pieces, and we can really kind of build on that with the traditional. So that's I guess we're really looking forward to building into that. You can see there's a neon billboard which is going to go live very shortly. Actually, we launch our off-season 2023 on Sunday, and my team is loving the fact I'm here instead of they're helping. But essentially we are continuing to kind of build on that and utilise some of those pieces for what we really want to do there. One of the final pieces, and I don't know if anybody actually does any work in Tasmania as well, but we're actually trialling some inventory in Tasmania for our intrastate audience as well, which is really exciting for us because it's been a market that's always a little bit behind in what it's able to offer and limited inventory. So we're really kind of, I feel like in a way, driving our own kind of industry build there too. So we're really excited about what's coming up, and really want to continue to evolve as the opportunities evolve with the programmatic out of home.
And for the record, 2D extensions and neon signs are not yet available programmatically. So just to wrap it up before we sort of open up to a few questions, if there is any, this is a really interesting moment for us at JC&Co and with our partners here, is because we're obviously in that public space where things aren't as trackable. I think that was brought up in a couple of the earlier sessions, that measurement can be quite tricky, but there is the ability to use data to share audiences, connect those audiences through to those omni-channel conversations and into that digital ecosystem, and start to move into that private screen space where things are a little bit more trackable, things can be optimized. And I think the case study that you've just seen is a really great example of that, and we're so excited to do more of that with Tourism Tasmania and sort of other clients across the ecosystem. But, we need to sort of commend Tourism Tasmania, Starcom and Yahoo for their bravery in starting to execute these kind of campaigns in this market. And I just want to thank everyone on the panel for coming here today, particularly from Hobart, to really showcase and share some of the great results that they've seen. Questions?
A quick point of clarity, and I think our comms team would kill me if I didn't say this. It wasn't really that long of a trip. It was a 2-hour direct flight, Sydney to Hobart. Really seamless, great result.
Calm down for air.
Thank you. Thanks again. Cheers.